Hi everyone, this is Dee with My Money Story, and today we're going to talk about part one of my personal money story. So, for me, growing up, I had a fearful relationship when it came to money. It always seemed like there just wasn't enough, and those who had it didn't live really anywhere in my neighborhood, anywhere around me, that money was something that other people had, not something that I could really attain, even though somewhere in my mind I always knew that I would be able to have a comfortable life. There was always a hope and a knowing, but it seemed like in the moment there was mostly just fear and lack. So I grew up with that mentality, and that carried over into my 20s. And so by the time that, I was young and moved away from home and started to support myself completely, I was extremely fearful of never having enough. And that was always the fear, not having enough, not having enough. And so that fear pretty much took over because fear has torment, right? And so, I started to really stress out about it. And now, when I was younger, the way that I would handle my stress was I would go shopping. Now, how dumb is that? But it's human, sometimes we just feel like we need something new, something different, something to get us out of this mode that we're in. So I would go shopping. Now, I'm dating myself, okay? This was a long time ago. And I had my first credit card, and I thought I was just it. It was a Sears credit card. I think Sears is even out of business now, right? But I had this thing, still do, but more responsibly now. But I had this thing for earrings and for shoes. And if I had a bad day at work, and if the credit card companies were calling me a bit too much for my liking, or if my student loan was hovering over my head and I just couldn't sleep at night, I would go buy a new pair of earrings or a new pair of shoes or something like that to make myself feel better. But the problem was, I wasn't paying cash for any of it. It was going on the credit card, which was already more than what it should have been, and was already getting calls and having to trying to figure out how am I going to make this payment plus rent plus food and everything else, and just made the situation so much worse. And finally, it dawned on me because I couldn't sleep, worrying about money. I couldn't sleep. And I wasn't in some tremendous amount of debt. It just bothered me to have debt at all. And so I thought, wow, maybe the earrings aren't the fix. Maybe the shoes aren't the solution. Maybe the solution is that I get these things paid off. So I worked really, really hard, and I prayed about it, and I asked God to help me because, I really needed the guidance. I really needed the strength and the willpower and the discipline, which I didn't have a lot of. I needed the discipline to really kind of hunker down and, make the payments and forego the earrings or the shoes when I had a bad day or when I felt bad or, wanted to pick me up or something like that. So, or eating out too much and things like that. So, I learned that it's more important to sleep at night than it is to have trinkets and shoes. And so over time, and I think it took me about a year or so, I paid that stuff off. I was so happy. I was so grateful. I thank God. I was like, I'm not doing this again. Credit cards are dumb. I don't want to do it. It's insane over earrings and shoes and a bad day at work or something. So I had to learn that it is more important to sleep at night than it is to have things. Things are nice, but things don't give us peace. They really don't. A change in mindset, a change in discipline, sometimes a change in atmosphere when it's possible. Sometimes that's not always possible. But there are other things that we can do to have peace. And peace is something that we cannot do without. Peace is everything. Everything. So we just have to use wisdom to get to the point of being able to live in peace financially. And so for me, that's where things really kicked off. So that's my part one. I'm sure many people can understand the whole credit card situation. Credit cards, when we are in dire need or in difficult circumstances, can be kind of like a shovel to dig you out of one circumstance. Of course, you still have to pay that off, right? But the credit card system in America really is built to keep you in debt. That's what that's for. That's why there are interest rates and late payment fees and all these things that are designed to keep you tethered to that system. And the more we recognize those things and recognize that we can do with less, we can absolutely do with less, and we'll be okay. And it doesn't matter if, the outfit we have is the best and brightest, of the day or whatever, or it's the most stylish, or the shoes are the brand new ones or whatever. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself, your appearance, your body, your home. Of course we all want gorgeous homes. Of course. Start where you are. Take very good care of what you have right now. And let that be enough somewhere in you, knowing that you'll have more later. You'll get to more. You'll get there. But right now, be grateful for what you have right now. Be content with what you have right now. Even if in the past you've told yourself a million times it's not enough. It's enough. And especially this year in 2020, and this is being recorded in July of 2020, I think we've all learned, and I hope we've all gotten a lesson. If there's any lessons to be learned, I think there are, out of this whole COVID-19 situation and all the lockdowns and the turmoil in the country, that what we have had over the past few years, as far as finances and things like that, sometimes it didn't seem like it was enough. It wasn't what someone else had, but we're eating, and we have homes to sleep in, and we have, friends and family, hopefully, in our lives who care about us. It was all enough. It was all enough. And I'm not saying don't dream. I'm not saying that there's not more. I'm just saying that we need to be grateful for where we are. And when you are grateful for where you are, and when you're grateful for what you have right now, you start to focus less and less on what you believe you don't have. And you start to build more wisely. And then later on, you get to the point that, oh my gosh, look at this, I have more. I'll tell you one thing that I do, that I've done over the years, that has really kind of kept me grateful and centered in the times when I thought, well, I should really be earning more, or I should be doing this. And yeah, those things were true, and I make moves, and I, pray about it, and I get to the point to where I earn more. But I would keep my old paychecks from when I worked at grocery stores back in the early 90s, when minimum wage was like $4.25 an hour, I think, or something like that. I keep those paychecks from when I worked at craft and fabric stores, or I remember the days when I was trying to make extra money by sewing for people, or, just different things, whatever I could do to bring in extra income. And I keep the receipts, and I keep the old pay stubs from years ago. And on those some of those pay stubs, I wrote, you know what, I want to make this in the future. I want to make that in the future. And I kept working towards it. And I've been able to make those amounts and surpass those amounts. And I still have those dreams. But I can tell you what, I'm not there yet. And we'll talk about that more in other stories. But I'm very grateful for what I have right now. What I have right now isn't what someone else might have. But you know what? It's enough. It is enough. And I don't need to go into debt in order to have more. I don't want that, because then I'll start messing with my peace. Okay, so you guys, that's the first part of my money story. We will talk again. There are a few other sections of it, and some of it's ongoing and in process. So thanks again for listening, and talk to you guys soon.